Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. My name is Marv Fikes Jr., and this is Become the Podcast. How do you become anything you dream, you declare, you commit, and success is your next breath? We'll listen to the sounds of none other than D'Angelo. D'Angelo is my favorite contemporary artist. And I say contemporary because I still love Donny Hathaway. I still love Stevie Wonder, Mike Jack. But in terms of somebody who is contemporary, he is my favorite artist. I think he is so dope and so talented and light years beyond anybody else who's doing music. It's just my personal opinion, and I think the people in the industry see D'Angelo that way as well. But let's jump into the podcast. So this podcast is called Attack in Spite of. Attack in spite of. And oftentimes we want to make sure that we know all the rules of the game in order to participate, or we want to make sure that our skill level is at a certain place or has been developed so before we decide that we will now participate and attack the process. There's a line, and I'm going to screw it up, but basically it says, although you may be unqualified, the fact that you're willing to participate, or the fact that you're willing to take care of business, qualifies you. So you may be unqualified for the job, all right? But there's a task that needs to be done, and the fact that you're willing to get involved, that qualifies you. You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes there may be something that needs to be done, and everybody else is hands off, everybody else is hesitating, and the fact that you see there needs to be a job to get done, and you're willing to go out there and get after it, that may inspire people to get involved. That may encourage people, or it may encourage people's strength. It may encourage people. It may make people brave or more courageous. And now, because of what you were willing to do, now they're willing to take that next step and get themselves active and get themselves involved. So you have to attack in spite of, and you can't always wait for the perfect situation and the perfect circumstances to get after it. So I want to give you I'm going to give you a little story about myself, and then I'm going to give you my 3 points of contact, and then we'll finish this thing up. So I used to have this dream when I was younger that I was running, right? And no matter how hard I ran, I could never run fast enough. And it was crazy because even in my dream, I will always have these memories or some sort of recollection of me running at top speed. So it was almost like I knew I could run at top speed, but for whatever reason, I just couldn't. I could run. I had the ability to be dynamic in terms of my movement, but I just couldn't get myself to run at top speed. I wasn't chained, I wasn't restricted or anything, but I couldn't run at top speed. But I always had this idea or this recollection of myself at some point in my life running at top speed. Now, this is a dream. And then I started operating within my purpose. Okay, I started operating within my purpose. And so around my 20s is when I started taking some chances on myself. You know, I quit working at Concordia and decided I was going to train basketball players for a living. And all of a sudden, I would always tumble, stumble, fall, bump my head, make tons of mistakes. But slowly but surely, I stopped having that dream. And I think that dream was kind of, it was a metaphor for my life at that point, where I had this ability to run fast and jump high, but I was restricting myself because I wasn't operating within my purpose. But once I started operating within my purpose and I started to exercise my gift and I started attacking the process, that's when the restriction, was basically disappeared, and all of a sudden I had this ability to now run as fast as I wanted to, jump as high as I wanted to. I was able to be as dynamic as I wanted to, as fast as I wanted to, so on and so forth. So I'm going to give you 3 points of contact when you need to attack the process in spite of. The first reason why you need to attack the process in spite of is you must consider your purpose and realize that it's not about you. There was a professor at Washtenaw Community College. I took a summer course. I took a songwriting course. And the professor told the class, we are all instruments that energy flows through and out of. So if you have an idea, if you have some sort of creative energy, you can't harness it and not give it to the world. If you are in a band and you have an idea, or you have a riff or a musical concept, whatever the case may be, you can't just sit on it. You got to give it to the world. It's not yours. He says he's watched so many people shoot themselves in the foot, so many creative people shoot themselves in the foot because they wouldn't distribute their creative ability. They want to harness it and keep it in. And so while you thought you were sitting on this great idea, no one knew that the people in the room never knew that person was as talented as they were, because all they did was hide their talent. They were hiding their ideas. Not only were they hiding their ideas from the people in the room in fear of that someone may take them, but they were also not allowing the world to see how brilliant they were. So when you have a genius level talent, you have to give it to the world. Now see, I'm a believer, so meaning I believe in God. So I believe that my genius level talent comes from my God, and I owe it to him to exercise it. I owe it to my God to exercise my genius level talent. He's invested in me. He's invested in me. He's invested his time. He invested his life in me. So with that being said, for me to have been given a genius level talent, to be aware of it and to not exercise it and to not give it back to the world is almost disrespectful. I give you a quick little example. I ran into a client I had yesterday, and his father comes up to me and says, so-and-so's having a really rough time with basketball. And so we continue talking. He says, my son starts. I said, okay, does he shoot the ball? He shoots the ball. Now, does he attack? Does he try to cross people over? Just does he shoot the ball when he's open? He says, no, he'll play the whole game and he'll maybe get up one shot. And so at the end of the workout, first of all, the kid had an amazing workout. And so we get done with the workout, and the son is telling me how much the coach restricts him. Now, I just so happen to know his coach, and I'm like, that's not true. And so he's saying that the coach only wants me shooting shots when I'm wide open, when there's nobody around me. Well, if you're playing basketball against good teams, you always gonna have somebody around you. Case in point, I told him it's disrespectful for you to have your money, have your parents spend all their money, spend their time, get up early in the morning, take you to the gym to hang out with me so you can go to the gym and go into games and not shoot the ball. That's disrespectful, right? So you have to understand that when you have a genius level talent, it's not about you. So if you're waiting for the perfect time and the perfect situation or the perfect circumstances to exercise your gift, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity. The world's missing out on your brilliance. And so with that being said, you have to understand that when it comes down to your purpose, when it comes down to genius level talent, it's not about you. We're energy the instruments are flowing through and out of. All right, the energy is flowing through and out of. The second thing is this: you can't always wait for the perfect window. 9 times out of 10, by the time you reach your physical peak, your knowledge and your instinct, they won't have reached their limits yet. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. By the time you reach your physical peak, your knowledge and your instincts will probably still be underdeveloped. They may be good, but they may still be underdeveloped. Now, here's the other thing. By the time you reach your cognitive peak, right? Your knowledge and your instincts have now reached a peak. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have surpassed that moment of physical, that physical peak, right? So you can see that your knowledge, the chances of your knowledge and instinct being in peak form at the same time that your body is in peak form are highly unlikely. But you're lucky. You're lucky if you can work really, really hard, right, to get yourself in peak form physically. And you're really, really lucky if you can aware of how to get your mind or your knowledge up to peak form, as well as your instincts up to peak form, and basically capture that magic in that moment. That's when we see people like Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods and Tom Brady. These are guys that have been able to get their peak form, their peak form in terms of knowledge, in terms of instinct, in terms of physical ability, and they've been able to capture it and then basically sustain it for long enough for the world to see, 13 to 20 years of brilliance. But that's not everybody, right? So the chances of you finding that window are so slim, we can't predict when the window's gonna come, right? So with that being said, if you're waiting for that window, you may miss out on your opportunity to exercise your gifts. And like I said before, you don't always have to be qualified. You don't always have to be the best at what you do, but as long as you're working on your craft, right? As long as you're working to be the smartest kid in the room, as long as you're working on your instincts, as long as you're working on your physical ability, just go out there and shoot your shot, because you still might be able to inspire somebody. You still might be able to make a difference, even though you're not in peak form in terms of knowledge, instinct, and physical ability. So if you're waiting on that perfect window, you're going to miss out on opportunity. The world's going to miss out on opportunity. The world's going to miss out on your brilliance. So shoot your shot regardless. But I guarantee you, if you shoot your shot, right? If you shoot your shot, if you go out there and attack regardless, in spite of, you're going to be amazed at how things will work out for you, and you just might find that window where you're able to be in peak form, peak physical form, peak form from a physical standpoint, from an instinctive standpoint, from a knowledge standpoint, right? But you at least have to shoot your shot to give yourself an opportunity to experience that window. Okay? So the second point of contact is you can't wait for the perfect window to attack. All right? You have to attack in spite of, because the chances of you kind of matching all these different levels of peak performance up are sometimes highly unlikely and very unpredictable. All right, so you can't let that stop you. The last thing is this, and we talked about this, I think, in a couple podcasts ago. What's in your highlight reel? What's in your highlight reel? Is your highlight reel full of opportunities that you ran from? Is your highlight reel full of opportunities that you shied away from? Is your highlight reel full of opportunities that were completely lost and void because you didn't even get involved? Or is your highlight reel full of opportunities where you got involved? You may not have won every single game. You may not have performed on the highest level in every opportunity, but at least when we look at your highlight reel, we can see you getting involved. If you watch Michael Jordan highlight reels and they talk about his storyline, there's going to be this era where they show him getting beat down by the Detroit Pistons. So that's him. I'm shooting my shot. I'm going out here and I'm going to give myself every chance to win. I'm going to get knocked down. I'm going to get hit. I'm going to get up. I'm going to be limping back to the bench. I'm going to be on the bench holding my knee, grimacing, right? All right? That was not me, but that was Mike. That was the narrative from Mike. They showed Mike holding his knee, grimacing in pain because the Pistons had beat him down. And then they showed him getting stronger in the weight room with Tim Grover. They showed him becoming a better basketball player, using the offense, using his players. They showed the players around him getting stronger. And before you know it, they showed him kicking the Pistons' butt and eventually going on to 6 championships and having this outstanding career. So again, when you experience life, you always have to make sure that your highlight reel is full of moments in which you were involved, you were tenacious, you were aggressive, you were assertive, you were active, you were passionate, you were going out there and you were getting after it. Because you don't want to have a highlight reel full of moments that were lost because you never gave yourself a chance, because that will impact how you show up moving forward. So 3 points of contact, let's hit them. Attack in spite of. Consider your purpose. It's not about you, all right? You have a gift to give. Use your gift, all right? And we are the instruments that energy is flowing through and out of. The second thing is you can't wait for the perfect window, right? The only way you're going to experience that window of being at peak form in terms of knowledge, instinct, and ability is to attack and give yourself a chance by just simply getting involved, participating. And the last thing is, what's in your highlight reel? Do you want to have a highlight reel full of lost opportunities? Or do you want to have a highlight reel full of moments where you got after it and we can have this beautiful narrative of a coming-of-age story where you got your butt kicked but you figured it out and you were able to execute on the highest level and perform on the highest level? So with that being said, I'm done. Marv Fikes Jr. Done.